Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Late TV Fights. We have two competitors here that are debuting tonight. This is the league where we put two competitors in the ring. We talk about TV-themed questions, and we see who is the great debater amongst these two competitors. So, I am not alone in this whole ordeal. I have two other judges with us here on the panel tonight. I'm going to introduce them first, and we'll go to the competitors in just a second. Introducing our second judge is going to be the one, the only, Andrew James, who likes to hang out at bars where everybody knows his name. Andrew James Barr, how are you doing this evening, good sir?
I am doing very well. I am actually really glad I got to hop on this match because I love both of these competitors. They are both really strong fighters, and I cannot wait for this match.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for being with us tonight. And our next judge is a man of many talents. He likes to entertain the millions and millions of fans who are going to be watching this when it goes up on our channel. He goes by the name Doug. Doug, how are you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm here. I figured I'd step in, take a break from watching season 9 of Fairy Tale, and yeah, judge, and then maybe do something Chunky Boy stuff later tonight. So who knows? Let's have some fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us for this judges panel in this match tonight. And now we're going to go to the two competitors who are going to be duking it out in this one. They're both debuting tonight. Their records are 0-0. So I'm going to go to Malcolm. You are a veteran of a lot of different leagues, a lot of different competitions in your lifetime. I mean, heck, you co-wrote and co-directed the Lord of the Rings movies with your good friend Peter Jackson over there in New Zealand. So, Malcolm, how are you doing tonight, and how do you feel going into this matchup?
I'm feeling nervous. Like I helped run this league usually, but so to lose in a league that I helped run probably won't be a good thing for me. But there's at least one of the questions two of the questions do make me nervous just because of what Cameron picked for them. But I'm fairly confident. So.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Yep, like you said, one of the co-commissioners here in this league. Thank you for being with us. Wish you the best of luck in your match tonight. And his opponent is no slouch. He knows what's going on. He knows how to duke it out. He is the one and only Cameron. Cameron, how are you doing tonight, and how do you feel going into this matchup?
I'm feeling good. I did a lot of prep for this. I've got so many notes. I've got 9 pages of notes, upwards of 4,000 words. I prepped for this. When they said you're going up against the commissioner of this league, I was like, oh man, that's not great. But I think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty, so gentlemen, and for those of you watching at home, this is how this league works with late TV fights. So what we're going to do is we are going to give each competitor 90 seconds to make an opening statement. Then there's going to be 5 minutes of open debate, and they are going to have up to 60 seconds for their closing argument. And there's going to be 4 questions. The player who scores the most points will win. If there is a tie, we will go to a speed round question, but we will talk more about that later should we get to that point. Other than that, I think we are all ready to go. Judges, are you ready?
Always.
Competitors, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So, our first question tonight is, what is the best TV drama from the year 2000 to 2019? We are going to start with Malcolm. Malcolm, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and the time will begin once you start talking.
Right. So best TV drama from 2002 to this year. I picked Once Upon a Time for this. This is one of the shows which is I didn't know what to expect when I heard it. It was just a whole bunch of fairy tale characters sort of lost their mind and sort of living in Storybrooke and with alternate names. Is like I don't know how it's going to work and how they're going to revisit the fairy tale aspect, but they did it. They did it usually utilizing flashbacks or later seasons, sort of alternate realities and all that. It's a very fun show, and it just encaps, and it's one that the entire family can enjoy. I'll get more to it in the main round.
Alrighty, thank you very much. And now we're going to go over to Cameron, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and the clock will start once you start talking.
All right, so when we think of the best TV drama from 2000 to 2019, we need to think of a lot of things. We need to think of writing. We need to think of the acting of it. We need to think of its cultural impact. We need to think of how consistently it actually keeps its dramatic tension and how well it can hold a story throughout its entire run. And I think that no show from 2000 to 2019 did that better than Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is an amazing show led by a powerhouse performance from Bryan Cranston, who came in doing unbelievable things after being just the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, along with the supporting cast, including Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman, who gives also an amazing performance to the point where he is coming back to do more of it on Netflix next month with a follow-up movie. The show had such demand that it got to keep going. I think that just it's a super consistent show that only got better and better. It built from its beginning, and it never left viewers disappointed. It's one of the most critically acclaimed shows of all time, and it absolutely deserves that title. Vince Gilligan did an amazing job as a showrunner, a producer, had great villains, great writing, a character who you cheer for but also think is a terrible, terrible person, which is really hard to balance. Because overall, I think it's a great show, and I will get down to why more in a minute.
All right. Thank you very much, Cameron. All right, so we've heard your opening statements. We're going to go into 5 minutes of debate between you two, 5 minutes, and the clock will begin once someone starts talking. Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Have at it.
So, the problem with Breaking Bad is it glamorizes like drugs, just makes it seem like it's really drugs are cool, and to make like it's the message isn't there. With Once Upon a Time, you got great performances like Jennifer Goodwin, like Jennifer Morrison, like Lauren Farrell. You got lots of great cast in this. Aside from Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston, can't really name anyone else notable in Breaking Bad.
Okay, so first of all, Breaking Bad in no way glorifies drug culture. It shows that it's horrible. It's a dark, dangerous business. And from moment one, when Walter White jumps into it, everything that he is doing is put at risk. His wife, his kid, and everything is put at risk. As for the performances, you have Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, who are amazing, but you also have Giancarlo Esposito as Gus, who's incredible. You have Jonathan Banks as Mike. You have Bob Odenkirk, who got a spinoff in Better Call Saul, which he does fantastic in, and he does fantastic in the show. You got Jesse Plemons as Todd, who comes in as a secondary villain in the 5th season, and is absolutely incredible and terrifying. Like, people in my cast have won awards for their performances. Incredible. The show's won 16 Emmys, 8 Satellite Awards, 2 Golden Globes, and many more. Once Upon a Time has won a total of 9 awards, 3 of which were for Lana Parrilla's performance, 1 of which was the award for Best Kiss at the Teen Choice Awards. It has never won an award for its writing or for being a show overall. 1 single good performance in that show is all it takes. Most of the cast left at the end of season 6 of your show because they lost faith in what it was doing because the show lost its traction.
It wasn't because they lost faith. They had other roles that they had and they all sort of came back in that last season, like cameo and that, but like awards doesn't really mean it's a good show. It just means that depending on the audience that are voting on the awards, that they think it's their opinions on what is good. Once Upon a Time, it is a great show. It's like it has brought a whole bunch of characters in which a lot of people may have thought like don't work together. They've, like, you see Snow White and you see Belle teaming up. You see Rumpelstiltskin sort of like taking the role of the Beast, which no one ever thought would ever happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, first off, you say that they left to do other things. Much of the cast hasn't done a ton else. In fact, the guy who plays David, whose name I'm blanking on right now, left the Thor franchise to be in Once Upon a Time instead. Jennifer Goodwin's only major role that she's really done is voicing Judy Hopps in Zootopia. Jennifer Morrison hasn't done much. Lana Parrilla stayed locked in that show because it was the only thing that she was the only real person getting praise for that other than Jared Gilmore. What was I trying to say? As well, in terms of the critical thing, like, yes, it appealed to the critics at that time, but this was at the same time that your show was running, at least for a few seasons. and the critics clearly chose my show over yours. Regardless of whether or not it appealed to certain people more, this is a dark, depressing subject that shouldn't appeal specifically to people. Yours should have the greater cultural appeal, being the taking of well-known characters and putting them in this new setting, and it just didn't work enough to get their love. As well, yours had the easier task of taking these characters we know and using them and building success, and it failed off of that. It had one well-reviewed season. Season 1 was reviewed at 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then it got up to 100 for season 2, which is great, but only 6 people reviewed that season. And the reviews steadily dropped to the point where your show ended up with a 43% in its final season. Breaking Bad started with an 83 for its first season, and every season after that had a solid, complete 100%. As well, Breaking Bad,
1 minute.
highly successful spinoff in terms of Better Call Saul. Once Upon a Time also spun a spinoff of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which was dead on arrival because nobody cared, because the parts in the show in which they go to Wonderland are some of the least interesting, despite the fact that you have Sebastian Stan as your Mad Hatter, who I'll admit he himself gives a great performance, but he's lost in a show that has visual effects that don't support it at all. The visual effects look like something out of a video game from the 1990s. It's ridiculous. The show compromises its own storytelling in an attempt to regain viewership later. In season 4, they do Frozen because Frozen had just come out and it was super popular, and it tanked the ratings, it tanked the viewership because it compromised its own storytelling for a chance of doing something popular, and it just ended up becoming boring and uninteresting. If you would like to say something, go right ahead.
The Frozen parts of Once Upon a Time I thought were the best parts. Like once again, this is like both of these shows. This is a day and age where ratings don't always sort of justify to how many people watching.
Oh my goodness. Talk about two different points of the spectrum here, people, with these two choices. Anyhow, we're going to go to closing arguments. Malcolm, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap up the story of Soybrook in a nice, pretty bow. And the floor is yours when you start talking. 60 seconds. Make it good.
Look, Breaking Bad is a show which, once again, I still say it levelizes drug. Like maybe it shows how bad it can be, but I mean, like the showrunners clearly didn't think it had a perfect ending because they're doing this movie for Once Upon a Time had a perfect ending. Yes, it it may not have had the views, it may not have had a lot of the ratings, but the fact it does still have a big fan base. Like I talk about this to a lot of people all around the world who's still talking about the show again. I've not heard anyone talk about Breaking Bad until all these things came out about the new movie coming out for Netflix.
Okay. Guess that's the end of that one. All right. Thank you, Malcolm. And we are going to go over to Cameron for his closing argument. Cameron, you're going to have up to 60 seconds to wrap this thing up. The floor is yours whenever you start talking.
Okay, so whether or not you think that Breaking Bad glamorizes the culture of drugs, it clearly shows that it's dangerous. It clearly shows that it's not beneficial in any way. It shows that it puts you in risk, and no matter what happens, everything is going to go wrong if you end up getting involved in this. The show consistently got better. In its 5th season, its viewership from the first episode of the final season to the last episode of the final season grew by 350%. In Once Upon a Time's 6th season, it reached a point where the mid-season replacement for the show was getting more viewers than Once Upon a Time was, and the mid-season replacement is a show that got canceled after 2 seasons. Breaking Bad constantly upped its ante. It constantly built tension. It never left just a moment of dullness. The lowest rated episode is The Fly, which is not a bad episode. It's just very controversial. Other than that, the episodes are all extremely critically acclaimed. It's got some of the best rated episodes in the history of television. It's got extremely award-winning performances, award-winning writing. It's an award-winning cast. It's tight, well-written script. It knows exactly what it wants to be, and it chose to end itself in its own time which went too long.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for that. We appreciate it. So we're going to go to our judges panel. I will kick this thing off. Just wow. Really good debate. Really good question. Both you guys brought up some good responses to that. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to say Cameron brought up some really, really strong points about the show, not just about who's in the cast, but what it did in its run, some of the accolades and all that kind of stuff. When Malcolm tried to counter that, he threw a few good points in there, a few good counterpoints, but I just felt like Cameron had a little bit more in the arsenal, just a little bit more so than Malcolm while he was making his arguments or his points. So with that being said, I'm going to give the point to Cameron. Now I'm going to go over to Andrew. Andrew, what were your thoughts on this debate, and who in your mind's getting the point for this one?
I like some of the arguments that Malcolm was bringing. I like the some of the tactics that he used. I like the idea of him saying that Breaking Bad glamorizes drugs, but then Cameron came right back at him with everything that Walter White puts everything at risk the moment that he enters that world. And I think the thing that Cameron did better than Malcolm, I think Cameron countered a little bit better in this match. And because of Cameron's countering in this one, I'm going to give it to Cameron as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with that, the first point for the first question, that's going to go over to Cameron. So with that, we are going to go into round number 2. We're going to go into question number 2, and the question is simply this: what TV show was canceled too soon? Very intrigued to hear answers from both of these competitors. We started with Malcolm in the first round. We're going to go over to Cameron to start things off for round number 2. Cameron, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make an opening statement, and that 90 seconds will begin once you start talking. The floor is yours.
I would like to use my extension on this.
Oh, all right. So in that case, Andrew, can you set the timer to, I believe it's 2.5 minutes? All righty. Thank you very much, sir. And Cameron, the time will start whenever you start talking. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to a show being canceled too soon, it means that it was canceled while it was still an amazing show, but it didn't receive the audience it got. It got canceled before it could reach its full potential, as it was getting better, as it was getting amazing. The show I picked is a little-known show called Gallivant. Gallivant is a show that was actually brought on in 2016 as the mid-season replacement for Once Upon a Time, as I mentioned earlier. Gallivant ran for the first season as a 10-episode series with only 10. The first season ran for 8 episodes. The second season ran for 10 episodes. It ran as an 8-episode series of that was burned off in a total of 4 weeks at 2 episodes a time for 4 weeks straight. It is a musical comedy fantasy show with music written by Alan Menken, the same man who composed music for Little Shop of Horrors, Aladdin, The Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and many other incredible, brilliant classic Disney movies and classic musicals. Gallivant is a show that takes place in a fantasy world where we follow this knight who is just the most washed up person who's trying to regain his potential and trying to become the hero that he once was. It's full of incredible humor. It's full of great jokes. It's full of an amazing lead performance from Joshua Sass. It's got one of my favorite supporting characters of all time in King Richard, played by Timothy Amundsen, who you may know from Psych. It's brilliant. The music is absolutely fantastic. The writing is so tight. It's so funny. It's got humor style similar to that of Community, where it's very self-aware and it's very willing to play with that. It knew the exact climate that it was made in. It constantly took jabs at Game of Thrones because it was the main fantasy series on at the time, and it knew that it couldn't compete with that in terms of viewership. So it tried to compete with that in quality, and by being the exact opposite. So it would constantly take jabs at it, and it would be great, but it still never compromised the fact that it was truly this brilliant fantasy show full of tension, full of great villains, while also having side episodes where you meet new interesting characters. Things get interesting. You have great villains, and the villain dynamic constantly changes. Where you have a villain who becomes a hero, and you have the love interest of the main character who then becomes the main villain. You have the main villain's best friend who becomes the love interest of the main hero's love interest, and they become like an evil power couple, and they start learning magic. It's crazy, and it's so cool, and it knows what it's doing. It also it would thrive so well on being brought back after being canceled. It got rumors were that it was going to be canceled after its first season, and it got.
My goodness gracious. All righty. Thank you very much, Cameron. We're going to go over to Malcolm. Malcolm, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement, and that clock will start whenever you are ready. The floor is yours, good sir.
Right. The Office, Parks and Rec, they're both two great mockumentary shows, and one that could have been just as great of a mockumentary show that they've done is The Muppets from 2015. This show was great, and this is one that really didn't get given much of a chance. It got cancelled after its first season, and it sort of finished on a cliffhanger. It was, you never really know if Miss Piggy and Kermit are getting back together in the series. And I mean, this is a show which should have been more popular than what it ended up being. And I think if it got a second season, it would have. It could have thrived getting a second season just to sort of see if they can change up the format and see what happens. But the whole backstage at Late Night with Miss Piggy type of show was an interesting idea to take the Muppets, and is just kind of a natural progression from the Muppets doing the whole Muppet Show thing, and just a different thing that to do with the Muppets that they'd never done before until now.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Malcolm. All right. Wow. Once again, two very, very interesting picks and a very interesting question. We're going to go into the main debate round. You have up to 5 minutes for open debate, and those 5 minutes will begin once someone starts talking. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Okay, so assumedly, if you want to bring this back, odds are it would probably have to be brought back to Disney Plus, because that's the only place that Disney's going to be making shows right now, and Disney currently owns the rights to the Muppets. The issue with that is Disney already has one Muppet show in production that they're bringing back, which is going back to the more traditional format of the Muppets and being a mix between sort of the traditional Muppets and a sketch comedy show, kind of like SNL. There was another non-traditional Muppets project in the works that was supposed to star Josh Gad, but it got canceled before it even entered pre-production after a year of being teased and talked about by Disney Plus. They lost faith in it. If you would like to say something, Fred.
Look, I mean, even though, if they bring it back, they'll bring it back to Disney Plus. I mean, that's not too much of an issue because streaming services is where it is at these days. The thing with Gallifrey is, like, it could have been, as you said, it could have been cancelled after the first season, but they gave it another season to see on what happens, and the way they ended the show was perfect. It didn't need another season. Yes, the show was great. I mean, I did enjoy it, but it ended perfectly, and there was really nowhere else I could see that could have taken it.
See, but the thing is, they tease so perfectly where the show can go in the future. You now have Gallivant and Isabella, who are married and are becoming the monarchs of this kingdom that's been in turmoil for years. You have Madalena, who's gone to become a dark witch and gain all of these new powers in the darkest possible way. You have Richard and Roberta, who are now married, and it seems like they're going to be having a kid, but they also now have a full-grown dragon named Tad Cooper. He's brilliant, and I love him. You have Sid and Gareth, who are going off on their buddy adventure to try and rescue Madalena, as they say, from herself. You have all these really interesting plot threads that are set up. As I was trying to say in my opening, though, Gallivant thrives off of the idea that it was going to be canceled. The very first episode of its second season was called A New Season, also known as Suck It, Cancellation Bear, and they wrote an entire opening number for the season about the fact that they didn't get canceled and how glorious it was. Second season was even more critically acclaimed by those who watched it, but unfortunately it still just never managed to find its viewership because it was dumped into a bum time slot that it didn't get a chance to. Muppets was given a lot of chances. It was put in a prime time slot on a major network, and it didn't gain the viewership. Its viewership dropped 70% from the first episode to the last episode in its first season. As well, the co-creator of the show, Bob Cushel, lost faith in the show and left it 10 episodes into its 16-episode production run, whereas Alan Menken has expressed much interest in bringing the show back, even if he has to do it as a stage musical. So it's fair to assume that bringing it back as a TV show is nowhere out of the question for the man.
Yeah, but once again, if you bring it on as a TV show in the future, there's a good chance that it will fail. A lot of TV these days is transitioning over to streaming services. Streaming services are taking over, and if they'll have to put it, if they bring it back, they'll probably have to deal with streaming services as they want to be seen. Like, who knows what's going to happen to like network TV?
Okay, but if the crux of your argument is based on the fact that the Muppets reboot will succeed because it's on a streaming service, that doesn't do it justice. You're arguing that the platform that it's on dictates that it will be a success. I guarantee you there will be things on Disney Plus that bomb. Disney is in no way bulletproof, and neither are the Muppets. As well, the Muppets is and always has been a children's show. The more adult-ish nature of the Muppets TV show alienates a lot of fans who like it because you have parents who want to show it to their kids who grew up with the Muppets, but they can't show this to their kids because there are adult jokes. If anything, last year's The Happy Time Murders proved that we do not want a show or a film starring puppets that is aimed towards adults. It just goes too far, and it's childish and mixing it with something that's extremely adult, and it just doesn't work, and it just makes people really, really uncomfortable. By having this as your prime form of Muppet media nowadays, you can't introduce children to the glory that is the Muppets in a modern day and age where they can be with modern people and address modern things. Whereas the old Muppet shows, that's what it was about. It was an ode to modern pop culture. It was an ode to the people who were famous at that time and paying homage to celebrity culture and Hollywood at that time. The new Muppets just doesn't do that. It feels like a parody of a mockumentary. It's a parody of a parody, and it doesn't work.
I disagree. But even if it is a parody of mockumentary shows, it's still written like, well, yes, it didn't get the views it needed. I mean, viewership isn't always the be all end all if it's a good show. It just means that a lot of people weren't watching it at the time it was on. People could may have DVR'd it. Nah.
All right, gentlemen, we are going to go into closing arguments. We're going to start off with Cameron. You're going to have up to 60 seconds to make your closing argument. Those 60 seconds will begin when you start talking.
In terms of your viewership argument, the viewership argument that I made that it dropped 70% from the beginning of its first season to the end of its first season includes DVR viewership. I looked at the numbers, and that tracks. Gallivant's only dropped 42%, and it actually rose from its second set of episodes to its final set of episodes. It was only a drop between its first episodes and its second episodes, and then it regained viewers as it kept going. The fact that it dropped that much during it doesn't mean that people weren't watching it at the time. It means they didn't want to watch it because they didn't like what they were seeing. And as well, the show has lost people that would be absolutely major necessities to the show. Steve Whitmire, who was a major performer with the Muppets, who played Kermit, Rizzo, Beaker, Statler, Lips, and more, was dismissed from the Muppets in 2017. And without a driving force like that to carry your show, you really don't have much to go off of. The Muppets 2019 also just threw random guest stars in, being like, oh, hey, look, it is this person being this person. We're doing a late night show. And it wasn't very interesting. Gallivant took the guest stars idea and brought them in very, very interesting ways. You have Ricky Gervais, John Stamos, Simon Callow, Nick Frost, Sheridan Smith, and Weird Al Yankovic and Kylie Minogue.
So many long lists. All right, we're going to go over to Malcolm for his closing argument. Malcolm, you're going to have...
I'm going to use my minute.
Oh, okay? Extension for Malcolm, so that is going to take it up to 2 minutes, I believe, to make your closing argument. Those 2 minutes will begin when Malcolm starts talking.
Look, you can rattle off a list of guest stars that Gallivant had. Aside of Weird Al Yankovic, none of the guest stars were memorable. I cannot remember what role Ricky Gervais played. I cannot remember the role John Stamos played. Gallivant had a perfect ending. It doesn't necessarily lead. Well, yes, they did maybe showed where the characters were in the future after that. It's what a lot of the shows do that trope of showing the people 5 years in the future. I mean, even Glee did that with that season finale. So I mean, so that does not mean it should get another season. The Muppets, even if it got another season and the numbers still track, they could have it's easy to find a way to tweak it. And I mean, you may have just my argument of that on saying it could work on a streaming service better. That wasn't what I was trying to argue at all. The fact that streaming services exist, I think there's a good chance a lot will fail, but it's also one of those ones that it could succeed and be better. The Muppets is one of those things that is always going to be marketable. Like whether it's good or bad, like a lot of people still watch their bad Muppets movies that are out there. So I mean, but yeah, the Muppets should have got another season just to sort of see if they could sort of change, and what they did and see what they could do. But yeah.
And that's two.
Yeah.
I thought I was just rambling for.
I was gonna say.
Debate is.
I was gonna say. I think he ended right on the mark there, directors up in the booth. Anyhow, all right. Wow. Great question. Really interesting choices. Fantastic debate. Man, this match. We're almost halfway through, but I gotta say this match might go down as one of the. My goodness, maybe one of the all-time greats. We won't know until it goes up, and for you young viewers at home to watch it. But anyway, I'm gonna go over to Andrew to start this off. Andrew, I got to get my thoughts together because my goodness, what a debate this was, my young friend. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this particular question, and who at the end of the day is going to get the point?
I'm going to give you plenty of time to think. This is actually kind of close. I have a personal favorite between the two, but one person made arguments for the other one that were actually really, really strong. I think Malcolm did a much better job at countering in this match than he did the last one. I love the fact that he brought up that Gallivant was given a second season. It did have a chance to continue. But then Cameron countered that with the fact that it thrives on the idea of being canceled, which I think is a really good argument. The fact that Disney already has a Muppet Show planned. However, the late night idea was actually a really good idea. Oh man, gosh darn it, you guys. This is actually. I'm. By the slightest of margins. And it was the moment that Cameron said that one of the creators left halfway through the season. I thought I didn't hear anything about that from Malcolm. So I'm going to give Cameron my point.
Alrighty. Thank you, sir. Oh my gosh. This, I mean, kind of piggybacking off what Andrew was saying, this was much closer than I thought it was going to be. And Malcolm brought up some really good points with his argument, but also Cameron came to play here. So, man, I think because some of the points he made about the show being self-aware and, hey, we were almost, but then we were brought back and we did this and we did that and all this kind of jazz. Ever so slightly, I'm going to give my point to Mr. Cameron over here for this one. But my goodness, great arguments from both of you. There's no question about that. Really interesting choices. Got to give you that one too. And with that, right now, Cameron is up 2-1. So we're going to go on to the next question. That is question number 3. And that question is the following. Who is the best character in Glee? So we started with Cameron in round 2. We're going to go back over to Malcolm to kick things off for question number 3. Malcolm, you're going to have up to 90 seconds for your opening statement, and those 90 seconds will begin once you start talking. The floor is yours. You're both out of extensions, so keep that in mind as we go along.
The best character in Glee is by far Sue Sylvester. Like all the quips that Sue Sylvester comes out with throughout the series, especially when it's like, what isn't hard? Having a period while on a horse or something. That wasn't exactly one of them, but that could have easily been one that she could have come up with. But like her quips, and she's had a lot of moments, and throughout the whole season, her arc has been like it's gone on up and down, but like seeing her sort of change over the season to someone who just wants to destroy the Glee Club, but then someone who gets around to the idea near the end, and just showed to have a heart and just and actually start being friends with Thor and sort of enjoying what the Glee Club does and brings joy and sort of sees what it actually means to everyone involved. It's just great. And yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Malcolm. We're going to go over to we're going to go over to Cameron. Cameron, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make excuse me. You have up to 90 seconds to make your opening argument, and those 90 seconds will begin once you start talking. The floor is yours.
Can I just preface my argument with saying something? It's not like making arguments and a point of my thing. I just want to clear something out of the way before I make my argument so as to not offend anyone.
Okay.
Okay, in my argument, I am arguing a character who is transgender. I will be using both he and she pronouns depending on the point in the series at which they are at, based on which way they present, just so that I'm not being offensive. I don't mean to misgender. I'm just going based on timeline, how they present. I don't want to offend. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for making that point or giving us that piece of information before we begin. Like I said before, you're going to have up to 90 seconds to make your opening statement. Those 90 seconds will begin once you start talking. The floor is yours.
Okay, so for this argument, I picked Coach Shannon or Coach Sheldon Beast, depending on what point in the series we're at. Coach Beast is a brilliant character brought in at the beginning of season 2 to replace the football coach Ken Tanaka, who's an absolutely terrible character who nobody likes. Ryan Murphy, the creator of Glee, has always said that Glee is about the underdog. And no one is more of an underdog than Coach Beast. From the moment she's introduced, she's not just hated by the people that hate the Glee Club. Even the Glee Club talk down to her, and they make fun of her. So she's the underdog to the underdogs, and she managed to overcome that and become one of the most well-loved, well-liked, and best-written characters in the entire series. Dot Marie Jones gives a brilliant, transformative performance throughout the entire 6 seasons, going from this crazy Southern woman to an emotionally devastating character with her arc in season 3 with her husband, to just a great support in season 4, especially during the episode Shooting Star, to in season 6 when he finally comes out as trans and transitions to becoming a male, and this leads to all these amazing, beautiful, really important moments. Glee only has 2 transgender characters on it. There's Coach Beast and there's Unique, and Beast serves to show that there's more than one way to do things, while Unique comes in and is like very flashy and very confident with who she is. Beast comes in and he's very soft-spoken, and he doesn't want to make a big deal out of all the things that he's going through. He just wants to work through it and make it as nice and easy as possible, and just wants everyone to still like him and accept him. Dot Marie Jones gives a beautiful, beautiful performance that's heartbreaking at times, it's inspiring at times, it's hilarious at times. It's an amazing singer.
All right, Cameron, thank you for that opening argument. We're going to go to the free-form debate. You're going to have up to 5 minutes, gentlemen, to have an open debate about this. And 5 minutes will start when someone starts talking. Good luck to both of you, and we'll see how it goes. Yes, I said 5 minutes. Yeah, I said 5 minutes. Anyway, you're going to have 5 minutes of open debate. Clock will begin when someone starts talking.
Look, I mean, well, yes, Coach Beast is a good character. I'll give you that. But she, like, aside from her storyline where she does the whole transgender thing, like, and I know I'm probably going to accidentally offend people in this, but she hasn't really had a lot of other memorable moments. Like, her memorable moments is either when it's the abusive relationship one or the transgender one, though. Aside from that, there's really nothing else.
Okay, but just because a character isn't a major, massive player in the show the way Sue Sylvester is, doesn't mean that they're not better or the best. You are glossing over and way oversimplifying character arcs and performances that Beast goes through. In season 3, when we have the arc with her abusive husband, that arc leads to, in my opinion, the greatest musical number in the entire series, which is Shake It Out by Florence and the Machine. When they sing that in the choir room, it's absolutely beautiful, it's heartbreaking, and it's amazing. And then in the episode Choke later on in that season, you have one of the most brilliant, beautiful, understated performances that I've ever seen, in the scene where she leaves her husband, where she comes in and she confronts him and talks about the fact that she's been sleeping with a knife under her pillow, and when he looks her dead in the eyes and says, "Who's gonna love you the way I loved you if I'm gone?" And she is just broken and weeping, and she says, "I am." And it is emotionally devastating, it's heartbreaking. and it shows that the things that happen to us don't define who we are. It's how we overcome them and how we deal with them. Sue is a mean, vindictive person with an up and down character arc like a roller coaster, and not a roller coaster in the fun way, a roller coaster in the way where it doesn't make sense and you want to throw up. Okay? Sue is abusive, vindictive. She is literally a criminal and gets away with all this stuff. The stuff that she does is so ridiculous that the season 6 episode, The Rise and Fall of Sue Sylvester, was entirely written just to retcon all the stuff that she said throughout the series that doesn't make sense. She's literally written that she's so unlikable that her parents pretended to be Nazi hunters to not be around her. She kidnaps Kurt and Blaine, and it's uncomfortable and creepy, and it's the weirdest storyline that show's ever seen. And that's saying a lot for Glee when there's an episode where all of the characters are puppets and they sing, "What does the fox say?" She doesn't work. And you're saying that she has these moments that redeem her and give her heart. And she has, sure, one or two few moments, like when she's with her sister or like when she dedicates the auditorium to Finn. But one or two good moments does not redeem a character for 6 seasons full of nothing but pain and terribleness.
Look, but you may say that, but even like one of Sue Sylvester's most emotional moments, it actually does, like in my opinion, it trumps the emotional moment where Coach Beast like talks about leaving her husband. The moment where Sue is talking to Santana about how she always admired Finn, how she always respected him, and that was probably the most sincere that Sue has ever been. Like, well, yes, you may say that, you may say that the Rise and Fall of Sue Sylvester was used to retcon all that. I disagree. I think it was one of those things that they did because to show sort of why she's been there. Because I mean, on that thing, it also shows how Evan Wool respects Sue, and believes that she isn't vindictive on purpose. She's just a teacher, just trying to hold on to her own club.
1 minute.
Okay, but Sue's character is not consistent all through the entire series. The entire first season, she's the villain and she's against the Glee Club. And then in the final episode, what happens? Oh, I'm nice to the Glee Club once, and I support them, and we're supposed to like her. And then season 2, immediately we start back again, and she just is back to hating the Glee Club. Oh, I hate them. Near the end of the season, you know what? I'm going to be nice to the Glee Club. Season 3, literally 5 minutes into the episode, they go, no, we're going to rewrite Sue's character arc and make her a villain. She's going to smash a piano, and it's going to be dumb. And then, oh, what happens at the end of the season? I'm going to help the Glee Club and bring them to a national championship. And they just keep doing that over and over, and it gets repetitive and boring and uninteresting, and it doesn't work. Sure, she has tender moments about liking Finn and with her sister and stuff like that, but a couple good moments does not, like when you have a character who does so much and only has these few moments of light that completely overwrite what their character is meant to be, that's it. As well, Glee at its heart is a musical. Dot Marie Jones is
Time.
There'd be me.
All right, gentlemen. Very, very good job. Going to go over to Malcolm for his closing argument. Malcolm, you have up to 60 seconds. Wrap this thing up in a nice, pretty bow for us. The clock will start once you start talking. I'm sorry I'm losing my mind, audience members.
Look, even though Coach Beast hasn't really done a lot, Sue has done a lot in the series. Like, well, yes, as you pointed out, her arc has been inconsistent, but I think it also shows like, well, yes, she's been painted to be the villain like each season, but it's like it's one of those ones where because I can't remember which episode it was, but she states that like she helped save the Glee Club because as she pointed out, like every that you need a good adversary. Wool has been one of the best ones that she's had. So, and it's just a classic rivalry. I mean, I don't believe Sue was ever truly against the Glee Club. Like she may have been against it, sort of. And there, but it's like it's one of those ones. Like she saved the Glee Club because she believed in what Wool was doing.
Time.
And
All right, thank you, Malcolm. I'm going to go over to Cameron now for his closing argument. Cameron, you're going to have up to 60 seconds for your closing statement, and that clock will start once you start talking.
Okay, you say Sue was never truly against the Glee Club, but season 3's arc with her where she runs for Congress entirely on a bid to cut arts funding clearly just completely disproves what you just said. Coach Beast is a character that we need in the show. Coach Beast is an older woman who is like strong and is not feminine, but is fully confident in being that way and is fully confident in being who she is and is willing to take the steps to become who she truly needs to be, to the point where she transitions, leads to beautiful, beautiful musical numbers. She's one of the greatest singers in the entire show. Her performances of Jolene and Mean are criminally underrated, whereas you have Jane Lynch, who is not that great of a singer. Her performance of Little Girls is creepy and it's not great. Her performance of Bitch is just annoying, and her final song that she sings in the show is The Winner Takes It All, and it's just annoying and it's stupid. Or I think it might be The Final Countdown, and either way they're both ridiculous and annoying. Beast is grounded, Beast is real, Beast is important. It's a Glee is about the underdog, and no one exemplifies that more than Coach Beast.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. My goodness. Boy, if there was ever a subject matter that these guys were passionate about, I think Glee may or may not qualify to fit in that category. So I'm going to go over to the man.
Random match over on Full Metal Trivia.
I know, right? Yeah, we're going to go over to a man who unfortunately has had technical difficulties throughout the course of the night. Doug, we're going to go over to you first. Keep it. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go over to you first. Doug, who in your mind gave the better argument? Who in your mind is getting the point for this argument? Doug, the floor is yours, my man. Write your answer down on a whiteboard in front of you, even though this has nothing to do with movie trivia. Yes, we know that. Yes, I said you were having technical difficulties.
I love how he went, I'm going to keep this short, and then just right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, his microphone is not working. For those of you watching at home, we can still see his face. We just can't hear him speak his words. So, Doug, please, who in your mind is getting the point? For Pete's sake, write it down on your board so the 20,000 people watching this and liking this on the YouTube channel can find out who your pick is.
20 million people.
I know, right?
20 million more.
Boy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say, where are you going with this? But yes. All right. So
It's
your
actually
point is going to go to Cameron.
BEISTE, unless you're talking about how I played the Beast in my school's production of Beauty and the Beast.
I believe Doug is presenting his point to Cameron. Is that true, Doug? Can you put up a thumbs up for me? Team
Oh
Beast.
my God.
There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, I think he's giving the point to Cameron. So we're going to go over to Andrew now. Andrew, please do us all a favor. Save us from this crazy debacle. Who's getting the point? Who presented the better argument? Who's walking away with the point on this one?
As much as I want to keep this match going, Cameron gave one of the best arguments I've ever seen. That was phenomenal. Not only did he give great arguments for, he also gave fantastic arguments against. This point goes to Cameron for me.
And with that being said, and your winner of this late TV fights match between these two debuting players is the one, the only Cameron. Cameron, congratulations on your victory. Malcolm, congratulations to you for coming in second place. We're going to go to post-game interviews with these competitors right now. I'm going to go to our winner, Cameron. How are you feeling winning this match tonight? What do you feel about your overall performance? And is there anyone you're looking forward to competing against somewhere down the line in the late TV fights division?
I mean, in terms of who am I looking for, assumedly at some point, if I keep going like this, I'll get to Cody, and I think me versus Cody would be a really fun, really great match. It'd be an honor to play against him. It'd be great. How am I feeling? Like, I feel great for winning. That was stressful. My body, I am so warm right now. It's ridiculous. I was so focused and intense doing this. It's crazy. The fact that I got to argue something I love on every question and not have to argue at any point something that I know nothing about was really nice and really helpful. Malcolm put up a great fight. It was a great match every single round, and just the way this match turned out, is like it's unfortunate that it went 3-0 in terms of the points, but like that was a great match, and Malcolm should not be overlooked for this. I'm real happy. I'm excited to see what comes next, and I just really like Glee, guys.
Really? I don't think we could tell from over here. But congratulations.
In case you were wondering, the question we didn't get to, I was also arguing a Glee thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough. Congratulations to you, Cameron. Look forward to what you do next in the late TV fights division. We're going to go over to our second place finisher, one of the co-commissioners of this league that he helped build. Malcolm, good sir, I got to ask you, how do you feel about your overall performance tonight in this matchup? And are you looking forward to competing against anyone else in the late TV fights division, or are you just going to see where the chips fall where they may and keep shooting your billion-dollar films overseas in New Zealand with Peter Jackson and his descendants, or what?
Yeah, I'm just going to see where the chips lie. Like, we've still got a few people yet to debut that you'll see in coming weeks. But like I felt good. Like Cameron intimidated me by telling me that he had 9 pages of notes written. So I was like, oh shit, I'm probably going to lose. But I mean.
That is a plethora of notes.
It's one of those ones that I really love to play as well, but it's just one of those things that Cameron put up the better argument. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Malcolm. We wish you the best of luck in your next matchup when they happen. And like he said, we got a lot of other debuting players in this division yet to come, so stay tuned for that. Real quick, I want to get final thoughts on this matchup from our very funny, entertaining, and technical difficulty-laden judges, if I'm allowed to say that. Doug, in 5 words or less on your whiteboard that you clearly have in front of you on your desk, if you want to refer to it as a desk, did you enjoy being on this judges panel tonight, and was this entertaining for you as it was for us? You can just say yes on your whiteboard. I don't care. He's in the process of writing. For those of us who are wondering what he's doing, he is in the process of writing a very long paragraph that is nowhere near the 9 pages of notes that Cameron prepared for us.
Yes, and I was fine.
Yes, and I was fine. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. Despite the technical difficulties, not being able to hear that lovely voice of yours, you were very entertaining. Going to go over to. Thank you for joining us, by the way, Andrew. Final thoughts on this match before we wrap this up.
Yeah, this was a good match. That second round match was something else. You guys did a great job. Cameron, best of luck. And Malcolm, best of luck to you too. Yeah, that's it. I don't have much else.
All right, well, thank you very much to our judges panel. Thank you to all the competitors who competed tonight. So that's Cameron, that's Malcolm, that is Doug, who's having technical difficulties. Hopefully that won't ever happen again on this show. And that is Andrew, and I was your lead judge and one of your hosts tonight, Ryan. Thank you all so much for joining us. If this is your first time watching this, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. We love hearing any and all your thoughts about this match and all the other matches we have coming your way. So stay tuned to that. Check out our YouTube channel. Also, to make sure to check out the Facebook page for more matches coming your way very soon. We'll put potentially some links down in the description below of this video. Thank you all for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week and stay classy, San Diego.
Keep it in.